I want to thank everybody for joining me out there on YouTube. It's actually still loading. On Facebook, hey, what's up? Oh, we just got up on YouTube. Hey, everybody that's joining me out there on YouTube, on Facebook, on brightradio.org via the app, and wherever else you're joining me at. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight we have a great topic. We're talking about sex tonight. This is something that everybody loves to talk about. Married, single, in between. Now I don't know how you be in between, but the married, single, the single, married, and all. So everybody likes to talk about it. And I just want to thank my Girl Talk Squad for being here with me today. I have Angela. Hey, Angela, how are you doing?
Hey.
And I have Janelle here. Hey.
What's up?
And I have Stacy here. Hey.
What's happening?
All right, and we're gonna dive into this topic of sex, friends with benefits. There was a movie out, probably about maybe 6 years ago, I think. I don't know how many years ago. I think it's called Friends with Benefits. Have y'all heard of that movie?
Yep.
Now, I never watched it, but I'm going to assume that it's about, two people who are single. They may have been married, though. But,
no, they weren't.
They weren't married. Okay.
Weren't. I think Justin Timberlake
he was.
Okay. And basically hooking up, friends with benefits to get the sex, and they say no strings attached. And sometimes we believe that when we sleep with these people that there are no strings attached. We just in it to get a good...
To get
it, right. To get our freak on and everything when we need to. Get that booty call in the middle of the night. Yeah. Drop by on that lunch break and get a little something, anytime, anywhere, any place. Janet Jackson, y'all know that song. And so this thing is just like, I know in the 90s it was big. Lil' Kim put it out there, Deep Throat Everything and Foxy Brown, and they was just straight up. Stacey looking at me
just
like
letting them know.
They was just straight up with it. They was like, this is who we are, and we're going hard for these guys, and yes, we want to sleep with these dudes, and we want to get our juices flowing. Guys done it for all these years, so right. It's the women's time now. And I remember Salt and Pepper, what was their song? If I want to take a guy home with me tonight, it's none of your business. Do y'all remember that song? Mm-hmm. And so, and it's like, no, I don't know that one. Right, exactly. And so these were the artists kind of that, ushered us into this phase of women being out there. Let's sleep around. Let's do it. It's okay. Mm-hmm. And guess what? It wasn't just secular people doing it.
Nope.
It was those who would sit in the pew.
Exactly. Undercover.
Yeah. Exactly. Undercover.
Both ways. Undercover, literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
Okay.
The DL. Mm-hmm. And so these people are out there just doing it. And I can say that I fell into it.
I did too.
I fell into that mindset of, hey, if we're dating, then it's okay to have sex. Mm-hmm. And so let's just go there and talk about these friends with benefits. I guess let's just take our minds back to high school. Take our minds back to middle school.
We have to.
Well, we gotta be able to pull it up and what was going on in the culture at that time.
Let me dust off the cobwebs.
So who want to start? Stacey, you want to start for us?
I mean, today, yes, we will be thinking what was really going on in our minds. Were we living our lives for these individuals, or were we living our lives for God? But I know at that time, back in high school, not many of us were thinking about the ramifications of actually sleeping around. Mm-hmm. It was just for fun, it was for status. Mm-hmm. You talked about the songs that came out that glorified that kind of lifestyle, and we were like, oh yeah, we're listening to the song. While I was driving in here, I was listening to different songs on Hot 99.5, and I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Is this what I was singing?
Right. And what I'm bouncing to, what I'm jumping around to, and all that. So you just really have to put yourself in the right mindset. But, having friends with benefits, it has a lot of negative connotations. Pleasure for 5 minutes, and then, boom, you're out. And it really doesn't last long. It doesn't help you any.
Mm-hmm. So what was some of because like you said, in terms of it doesn't last long, but I guess being in the moment, being in that relationship with that person, it just seemed as if the best thing to do. Have you ever been there, Janelle?
Well, I'm a single parent, so yeah, I've been there. I don't know how else to get around that. So yeah, I've been there. It's a funny topic to me, like friends with benefits, because I think I think it's a lie, and I don't think it really truly exists for women. Right. I'll say that for women. Right. I think we're just built differently than men. Right. But I just remember back then in the day, I think the whole thought of, I know for me, the reason why I really engaged was just really to have intimacy and play this grown-up game at a young age. I mean, growing up, you had all these families on TV and you see all these things and you just really wanted to be a part of that. And sex is part of a relationship. That's kind of what it was built on. And that's just, with the songs and the messages and going to church, you heard something different in a sense, but it was more of don't. And when I hear somebody say don't, I almost tune it out. I want to do, exactly. I tune it out and I say, don't tell me what to do, because that was my natural response. I was always rebellious. So I was just like, they say don't, but I don't know why. We love each other and we're going to be together forever. Right. So let's just go ahead and do this. So that's kind of where my mindset came from back then. Over the years, I've definitely grown and changed. Some of those ideologies haven't left me fully, and I still have some questions, but I kind of understand now why the whole process is kind of like just pause, chill out, hold off, wait, because to be so young and act so grown, it just comes with so many consequences. So that's why I'm kind of like, friends with benefits, I don't know about that.
You want to jump in right there, Angela?
Sure. In high school, I don't know, it's a little different for me because I was a tomboy, like, growing up, like, straight up. When I had male friends, they were legit my brothers. Like, like, when you see people, like, playing football in the snow and all that, I'm the girl that was there to jump in. Yeah. So, when it comes to, like, high school and then, like, boys are starting to like me, I'm just like, boy, like, if you don't get out my face, like, bye. So, I didn't necessarily have, like, a friend with benefits until maybe, like, my senior year, almost into, like, college. But the benefits were different. It wasn't more so sexually. It's like, you're going to be my boyfriend because of time and the we spend together and the things that we do for each other, but not necessarily because we're sexually active with each other. So it was more so, like, you gonna play the part of being my boyfriend, but you're not gonna have the title because I don't really want no boyfriend because I don't, like, I'm a tomboy and I don't really do that right now. Right. So that's what it was like for me.
Okay. And and like you were saying, Janelle, like you were saying in terms of, friends with benefits, I think that as women, we can also play the role of trying to separate the emotions from the physical act. Yep. And I think for guys, I think it still attaches us both the same way. Because I always say that, when we engage in sex with one another, we're still attached. No matter if you feel like you have caught feelings, but you're still making some sort of attachment, some sort of connection. Because as I say in my book, sex is the glue that binds the two together. And so that's what happens. And again, growing up in this culture of saying, hey, you know what, friends with benefits, or just having someone, just even dating someone in a long-term relationship, and just sleeping together, still is like, okay, and I always ask myself, well, how is it, and speaking from a Christian standpoint, how is it that a person or two people can be involved in a relationship for so long and then expect that sex will not happen?
I think it's bogus. I don't believe in long dating. I don't. That's one of the things that I've come to in life. I don't believe that you should date as an adult. Let me put that in there. Not like from 15. Right, you shouldn't be. I don't think you should jump to get married at 18. Now, if it works out, that's good. Right. You're in the minority, especially nowadays because times have changed. But I think in the adult life, I mean, honestly, I feel if you don't know who you're dealing with after 1 to 2 years, you're really just playing around.
Right.
And I know that society has a whole nother message. I know that they do. This whole freedom and women's lib, and I'm going to get knocked for that, but I have.
No, you good.
I know I'm going to get knocked for that. All the feminists are going to be like, ah! But with all of that came, though, we've lost our delicacy as women.
Yes.
And we're not tuning into the things that really make us powerful. And we're just kind of throwing it out there and just giving it away and doing anything. And it's not healthy
It's
for
lost
us.
its value.
It's lost
It
its
has
value.
no value.
Lost the
We
value.
don't respect it, so therefore they don't. So it's just hard to show respect and just be valued when pretty much society nowadays, like, it's just, here you are, here it is, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing nowadays. It means nothing.
It's really just something else to do.
Right.
You know, when you have nothing else to do, you don't have a hobby.
You're bored.
That becomes your that becomes your hobby.
So, like I said last week, when you're bored, you get messed up, caught up, and knocked up.
You know, like we talked about before, there are consequences to our actions. So when we get bored and we jump into these things, then there are consequences to it. We don't think about it before we jump into that deep end of the pool. But when we jump in, we might hit our heads. We might get something, something might happen to us.
Oh, shoot, we didn't hit our heads, bumped it,
cracked it open,
unconscious, and some more stuff, because here it is, I don't know, do you have any children?
No.
The rest of us got kids.
Yes.
And this is my thing. Just because you got married, you were still knocked up. And you were still...
It's true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
You were still sleeping around. Just because you ain't get caught, because you ain't get pregnant, or maybe you had that abortion, doesn't... And sometimes in the church, it's like, well, when they see that you're pregnant, that's, of course, when it's visible.
Shame.
And shame.
Right, yes.
Exactly. But it's never really talked about, and some people will be like, well, don't come home with a baby. Well, no, it starts before don't come home with a baby. How about let's talk about how to deal with those urges, because again, as we brought out, starting having sex, and it's not, and again, I always tell my daughter, it's not about if you grown or not grown, because the law of God applies to everybody,
Right.
No matter how old, how young, whatever. So it's about knowing your value. It's about knowing your worth, and not even just as a woman, because men have value too. Come on, guys, shout me out. Go have Facebook comments there. I know a few of them better be watching. Don't let me start calling names. And so because guys, they have value too,
Of course.
And so the thing is about learning about sex, opposed to not just telling us not to do it. Well, why shouldn't I do it? All this stuff. I say, hey, you're dealing with a new generation. When I was coming up, I want to know more information. I need to know more information. And to be able to make that decision, it's not about getting pregnant. It's not just about getting pregnant. It's not just about catching an STD. It's about my connection with God.
Right.
That when I engage in sex with people, whether if it's one person or 100 people, I don't care how many people you're slept with. It's still something that when we do it, we disconnect ourselves from God.
Right.
And so,
Linda, that's really, really very key what you said there, because I'll say for myself, like you're talking about catching it beforehand and that disconnect. The disconnect happened way before I was pregnant. So the whole lifestyle that I was living was just totally in my own flesh, in my own way, doing my own thing. And I'll say this, the pregnancy actually brought me back.
right.
I know it was not God's will. I don't, you have God's will and then you have his exceptions. And he makes exceptions all day, every day to everything that we do. And so he would have to, or else we would have been dead at Adam and Eve.
Right.
And so nobody would have existed. And so he makes exceptions and he works with things and he turns, bad for good. That's just what he does. He turns things around. But all of the behaviors and stuff was everybody's looking and they're thinking, oh, if you're coming to church and you're sitting down every so often, everything is all good. Well, which is a lie. I mean, because especially as young people, you see the older folks doing their thing. You see and you get the inappropriate hugs. I mean, we're not dumb out here.
Right.
We know what's happening.
Right.
But all of that was a lead up prior to the actual pregnancy or the result of all the actions. But that's where people sort of get stuck.
Yes.
What they see and everything else, as long as we don't see it,
then it's okay. It's
okay.
almost like it's okay.
Yep.
If it's not seen, then it's okay. And that's the issue that I always bring out, whether if I'm preaching, teaching, whatever. I'm like, yo, sex starts before the pregnancy.
Yep.
Sex starts, that whole cycle. Just even the things that we listen. I was a Little Kim fan. Like YouTube, look, every single word. What? You
Oh, Lil' Kim was the bomb.
Exactly, okay? Now, Foxy Brown, she could rap and everything, but because Little Kim lyrics, like, she can rap. Now, how she look now, I don't know. I'm like, is that Little Kim?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But, and so, even through all of these songs, and it didn't even start with Little Kim. Like I said, Salt and Pepper, who came out in the 80s. All Push It. Now that I listen to some of these songs and really
and the lyrics,
dissect the words,
oh my
yes,
God.
I'm like,
shocked.
That's what they say.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even
Right.
Shabba Ranks, when he
Right.
sang Flex, Time to Have Sex, that was so pointed. And I'm remembering going to middle school and that pounding in the taxi that we used to take, because I grew up in Trinidad, and having to listen to that. I mean, we all dancing, hands going up and all that. We're in the loudest sounding taxis, maxi taxis and whatnot.
Jamming.
Now I'm listening to this thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, they were like,
Right.
and it wasn't even subliminal. It was just there.
Yeah.
Flex.
Yeah.
Because it's time to have sex. I'm like, what?
Y'all remember that song by what's her name? Y'all remember Pull Up to My Bumper Baby?
Petra.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
Write it up.
So these are the songs that just got into our heads, and that's where it started. And then add the friends to it. The peer pressure.
Guys always wanted to be friends.
Right.
You wonder why. It's a cuddly to hold.
Right.
That's all.
And so adding all of that stuff to it, that's what leads up to the pregnancy. It's not just, oh, she got pregnant. Oh my goodness. Now we have to sit. No.
Now we have to deal with it because people can see it.
Right.
It's out
Exactly.
in the open. It's no longer taboo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so those are one of my things where I'm like, no, let's deal with it beforehand. Let's talk about what you watch. Let's talk about what you listen to. Let's talk about the people you hang around. Let's talk about all of those things, because this is the thing. If we want to be able to live for God and flee fornication and run from it, then we have to honestly change up some things that we're doing. And some people will honestly say, well, what I listen to doesn't matter. Or who I hang out with doesn't matter, or what I watch on TV doesn't matter. And so yeah, let's just talk about what, as women now, we know we've been through the stage of sex and everything like that, the friends with benefits and all that stuff. So what is it that we do now with the sex urges? How do we handle that? Who want to go first? Janae, you want?
I just stare into space. No, I'll tell you this. It's daily prayer and just constant communion with God, because it's like the fruit. Once you bit the fruit and you see that it's sweet, because we also have to stop perpetuating lies.
Yes.
Sex is off the hook.
Right.
It is.
We have to stop perpetuating the lie with the right person.
Yes.
With the right person.
Yes.
With the right person, definitely. But we have to, we've perpetuated it for so long, perpetuated these lies and made it this mysterious, scary thing where the books of Song of Solomon is all about intimacy. And not just there, but the Bible talks about intimacy in other areas and other parts. But that one whole book is like, my bosom.
We're about to get it on tonight.
It's about to go down. And then we gloss over it. I mean, who has ever learned or heard about it growing up? Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. We've never talked about Song of Solomon in church. I have yet to hear a pastor preach about it. And I know it's dangerous, and I know it's a little risky, especially on the mornings. You've heard one. That's good. Yeah. I've heard nothing over the years. But you know what I do now to really, I've gotten back into fitness and just understanding that I think after you go through enough knocking your head against the wall and kissing enough frogs, that you just kind of get tired. And at this point now, yes, I know what sex is all about. Got it. But at the end of the day, when I'm 92 years old and I'm sick, are you going to be there? Right. So I'm looking for, it's more than that. And now at this point, I've been able to adjust my mind. Younger, I wasn't really thinking that. Right. But now at this point, I'm able to adjust my mind to what really matters. And I'm okay with waiting, because when it is time, it's going to be off. Okay. Fireworks. So I'm going to be good.
To add on to what you said, when you mentioned fitness, like for real, exercising is hands down one of the best things for real. And when I can't exercise, like when I just be lazy, I'm just honest with God. Like, okay, I need you to remove this feeling from me, because I don't want to sin. But my phone is ringing. Okay, so you just gotta be real with. You gotta be real with God. You gotta be real with yourself, and just be like, you know, this is the reason why I'm waiting. This is the reason why I shouldn't do this, and it's. If not for anything else, but for God, because He deserves that glory. He deserves for us to honor our bodies as a living sacrifice, so that He can really live in us as a temple. So exercise and just be real. Like, you gotta.
And I think it's so important, like you were saying, in terms of being real, because so many people cannot be real. So many people cannot be authentic about where they've been, the mistakes they've made, and what they're doing now. We can sit up in the church, and I'm not saying that everybody's like this, but too many people sit up in the church as if they've always been that holy. And I'm like, yo, I know you got some dirt in your past, because I see it in your eyes.
In your presence.
Do not play. The biggest hats got the biggest.
They need all that hat to cover it up. Right. And so I think it's so important, again, because listen, I work with youth ministry, and every time I had one of the girls to ask me, she was like, do we gotta talk about sex again? I was like, yup, we gonna talk about it all. Because we're going to talk about how to really, even at that age when you're first hitting puberty, okay, you go from 0 to 1,000 all of a sudden. And it's like, what do I do? What do I do? Oh my goodness, I got these feelings. We had a evening program at the church one evening, and we was talking about sex and what you do. And so my little cousin, I think he was probably about maybe 10 at the time, just put the question out there, what do you do? He was like, well, I stand on my head. And I'm like, and it was so funny. But, again, what do we do? So we're going to continue to talk about that after we come back from this break. What do we do? I want to also hear from y'all out there. I'll write this number down. When I come back from break, I want y'all to call me. The number is 888-BRIGHT, BRITE 86. Again, the number is 888-BRIGHT, BRITE 86. And we'll be right back.
Clear on radio, still live on social media.
Any comments out there on social media? Anybody want to comment? No comments coming in?
People are, just saying, agreeing with your stuff. Funny, yes. They're just, just kind of responding back to you.
No disagreements?
No maybe comments. Pray, LOL.
Right, man.
Funny but true story. Right and quick to criticize.
That's about the church.
Somebody said, hey, Janelle. Tashana, Bayham, Elliot.
Her son just graduated from Sligo.
Oh, yeah. I know.
So you guys are still live on Facebook.
So Facebook, come on, chime in. What y'all got for me? YouTube, chime in. Give me something. What do you do? Look, we're going to soon talk about those friends with benefits and you married. Cause okay. Them people, let me tell you, I think the married people are the ones that creep the most. I think them married people be creeping. Now they ain't gonna tell nobody, but they be creeping. They be creeping with other married people too.
They got some skills.
And actually, a research statistic came out the other week, last week or 2 weeks ago. I love research. I have a problem. But it came out that said it is now documented that women are cheating in marriages just as much as men.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that it's actually on the increase that people are stepping outside of their marriages and stepping back in and stepping out and stepping back in. I mean, I know it's hard to count on a hand how many marriages I don't know that have not been affected by infidelity in some way. So it does happen. I just think it's just a great ploy of the devil to just use our bodies. I mean, he's just like,
And I think
hormones.
The issue is that we're really, really not communicating with each other. Like, whether it's in marriage, like families, friends, like anything, like we just don't talk to each other. So in a marriage, I'm not married, never have been. But I can only imagine if there's something going on and you're just like, oh, I don't want to deal with him today. I'm just going to go. And then you have a friend who so this is what he did today and this is that and this and that and da-da-da-da. And he's like, well, maybe this, that. But, sometimes friends will play the part of, oh, I'm going to be a good friend, take your side. But I'm trying to be a good friend and take his side too. But at the same time, still thinking, oh, she's going to come to me or, vice versa. No, too close. Yeah. Better go talk to your man. Go talk to your girl.
Come off that inbox or DM.
Okay.
Come off the DM.
Yes.
Get on off of it.
Get out.
Do not, don't poke. Don't nothing. Don't nothing.
If you're not poking,
poke your wife. Poke your wife.
Who are you poking? Right, okay?
Poke your husband.
Right.
Don't poke me.
Don't be poking. Nothing.
Because listen, I need to hear from you married people because I know y'all be getting those messages in the DM. I know you do. What do you do to make sure that you keep your marriage free from infidelity? What do you do? Come on, y'all. Y'all better post on because I know I got some married people watching. So don't be faking on us because, again, it's not just single people.
Nope.
And sometimes the majority of, I guess, culture, church or whatever, will only talk about sex and waiting to single people.
Always.
Will always, I'm a firm believer in the fact that, and I actually wrote a blog on it, I'm a firm believer that when we live our lives, a single life or fornication, when we get married, we take that into our marriage.
Yes.
And that's how adultery begin to creep in. Especially if we're used to sleeping around with different people. We still got that same spirit on us. Just because we say I do, don't mean that same spirit, that spirit gets off of us.
Yep.
And so we take that thing right down to the altar with us, right into the honeymoon with us. And then, once he or she gets on our nerves, then we over there creeping with, hey, I ain't talked to you in a long time, little man. Right, exactly. And so that habit, because of course habits that we form, you don't just drop habits.
Right. Or you compare, because when you leave one relationship and you go into another, you start comparing. Oh, he used to do that, or he used to do that. Or, he may have done that, or he may not have. Or I like that. I like how he did that. And we start comparing our past with our present. And so we disregard what our present mate is doing. And maybe we're walking down the aisle and we're thinking about the guy and how he used to do it before. Or we're on our honeymoon and we're like, oh, I enjoyed it this way. That's because we had a past, dealing with guys doing this and that and the other. And now we're with this one person. So it's not only guys who, get this shell shock feeling that I'm going to be chained to this one person for the rest of my life. Now, maybe women are feeling the same thing. But we have to think about the relationship that we're building with that individual. So it's not just about sex. It's all about the relationship. We talked about our relationship with God. We have to have that strong relationship with God first before we can relate to human beings. And so when we value our relationship with God, then we can value our relationship with others.
We're just never really satisfied.
We're not.
So even if we get to a point where we value a relationship with our current fiance or our current boyfriend, there's always going to get a point, because it's the honeymoon phase, it dies. Eventually, 5 minutes. It dies, okay? 5 minutes for some, 2 years for others, like, it dies. So once it dies, okay, then what? Yeah. Oh, well, he used to do like that, but I have a friend right here who's fulfilling this. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep, this is my husband, this is my boo, this is my boyfriend, but that's my best friend. Absolutely not. No. So, and we don't want to come together and just be like, boo, like, you used to talk to me like that. Well, how come you don't talk to me like that anymore? Like, we don't do that.
I think it's tough now because we're in such an era of, I just want to be happy. Yeah. Everybody just wants to be happy. Yeah. Mary J. Blige, I just want to be happy. That's all you talk about.
That's my girl too.
That's my boo. We got to talk about that. We got a lot of issues on that. But it's more than being happy. We have to make choices. Yes. That is the one reason why we are still existing today, is because God gave us choice. Right. And we oftentimes want to give in the choice to hormones or how we feel, or I'm just trying to be happy, or I'm just trying to do this. It's more than that. We have a covenant with Him that we have to uphold and we have to stick to. That means if you need to shut down your social media accounts because it's tempting you, shut it down. You have to make the difficult choices, but the conscious choice all the time, every day, to do what's right. It is tough. It's like eating healthy. It is tough. Right. If you want to lose weight, you can't eat cookies and cake every day.
Right. And not exercise.
And just sit down. And then just say, I want to be happy, and then you have heart disease. I mean, but you have to make the choices that are sometimes difficult to really make your life and the life of your spouse or your significant other much better than what we're doing. We just really throw it away for just what we're feeling. And feelings change all day, all the time.
Just like the weather.
I wake up, I'm happy. In 2 minutes, I'm mad because I'm in traffic. In another 5 minutes, I'm good again. And then I'm hungry. And we change all the time. So why are we giving so much feel to feelings? We have to make choices. And we often just brush them aside and just throw it out the window.
Yeah, it really is hard, though. Yeah. It's extremely hard to, let's use the example, the analogy to use, to eat healthy every day, to exercise every day, or whatever routine, if you're doing it 3 days a week, 5 days a week, or whatever the case may be. It is hard to consistently do it too. So, because I can, exercise for months, and I do 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and I'm good, I'm feeling great, I see progress, but in the days that I feel tired, it's just like, no, I don't want to do anything at all. And then what happens when I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm usually real good. I'm just going to take a little break this day. I'm going to take a little break again. So just a little tired.
And then that break turns into 2 weeks.
Right.
2 months. 2
months. 5-10 pounds.
And you be like, man, I don't feel like going. Oh my gosh. But like both of y'all said, it's so important. Eating healthy. Even saying no to premarital sex, infidelity, it's about making a plan.
Yep.
Yes.
In order to
be like Joseph.
Flee. Okay. Shoot, naked and all.
Yeah.
Get up, out dodge. Because if we don't have a plan in place to say that, you know what, I'm not going to go down this route, then of course we're going to fall. And I have found out in life that the stuff becomes easier the more we practice it. With everything. I was a horrible writer, still a horrible writer, but guess what? Still write anyway. But when I was in high school, college, I used to hate to write. I hated English. I don't understand why this word's got to be this way, and I just don't get it. And, but even throughout college, I got better and better because I wrote more papers. And so, when we practice something more, and some people can go cold turkey. A lot of people can't, because again, growing is a process. And habits, we have to be able to know how to get rid of those habits. And so going back to what you said in terms of people just want to be happy, that's what people are really looking for. And it's like people have a misconception of what happiness is, because they think I should feel good all the time.
Yeah, right.
And, that's just not true.
We have to be able to see God's plan and the devil's plan. And every time God puts something out there, he's like, peace. God is like, I want you to have peace. I want you to live in joy. The devil comes with happy. And so it's real slick, but it's just slick enough that we get caught up in it. But that's why Paul says, and I'll try not to be preachy, but the Bible really is my compass. Yeah. And that's why he says we have to die daily. I mean, when you try to do it just on your own or just try to, okay, I'll skip this day, that's when the slip comes in. That's when that text comes and you're like, maybe I'll say something. Right. But we have to die daily. We definitely have to die daily.
Right. And so with that,
20 seconds going back up.
Like you said, we have to die daily. The Bible has to be our compass. And we can no longer as Christians say, well, this is just the way I am. No, God has come to transform us, to be different, to be able to overcome. Like, I want to be an overcomer because that's the word says that those who overcome, those are the ones that make it into the kingdom.
Exactly. Let's welcome him back. Here we go.
So, just want to welcome you back to the Linda D. Lowe Show Girl Talk for all those who are listening online. During the break, we was talking about a lot of good stuff, y'all. We talked about infidelity and marriages and, married people sneaking and creeping around and and how to just really keep it all under wraps. And I just want to, dive into basically where we left off at to say, well, what are some of the additional things, I know we talked about it a little bit, but what are some of the things that we continue to do to make sure that we do not slip up? But first, I want to go to Facebook, and before I go to Facebook, I want to let y'all know, call me, let me know what are your thoughts on sex? What are your thoughts on friends with benefits? Are you interested in canceling your policy? What do you think? I'm just saying, because we need to cancel that policy. Call me at 888-BRIGHT, BRITE, 86 888 BRIGHT, BRITE. There we go. Gotta get hooked on finance work for me. 86. Let's go to some Facebook comments.
All right, we got Cheryl. She said, like you ladies said, the first step in making the commitment to staying celibate and surrendering that area of your lives completely to God. But as we trust God in faith, we have to take affirmative steps and make those difficult choices, like deleting, numbers and those guys who we know are only calling for one thing. We have to cut those ties. That means no Netflix and chill.
Right.
This commitment is being celibate will also help weed out potential dating partners who will not respect that commitment. And lastly, he says making a commitment to celibacy may mean making a decision to be single. Whoa.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. You said you want to retract. You want to jump in there?
No, that was a great comment, but that last part threw me. But she's right. You have to accept that singleness might be the path. Now, I don't accept that, but some people may, and that's a risk, especially in this day and age of instant gratification. Can I tell y'all a quick story? Because he said something. She had a comment about people weeding people out. I just have to say this quick story. My girlfriend is doing some online dating, and she was saying that she had told a guy that what she is about is just about celibacy, and he sent her, of course, a provocative picture. Now, he was immediately deleted, but it was really good to be upfront about that celibacy because just like that, she was able to get him out of there and not be able to worry about it anymore. And that happens.
Yes. We have a caller. Hello? Hey, Kendra. Hey, Kendra. We're good. How are you? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Right. Right. Thank you so much for sharing, because not everybody would want to share that. Because like you said, with the newness of it again, and that's where the addiction comes in. Because with any addiction, every hit you take, the next hit has to be stronger in order to achieve that same high. In order to achieve that same high, the next hit, it gotta be stronger. Because if it's not, then what's the point of taking the drug? What's the point? It's like, I need it, and that's why people become so strung out. And not even just on drugs, on sex. Thank you, Kendra, for calling. Continue to listen online with us. And thank you. So the whole newness of it, and just again being able to break free, like she was saying, she knew and she recognized the fact that she wasn't going to be able to stay faithful because it wasn't. And some people will say, okay, I'm gonna get married so I can have as much sex I want and have it legally. But like she said, Brian over the club. But like she said, guess what? That dies out. Like you said, the honeymoon phase only lasts. Yeah. So
I just wanted to point out what Kendra had said. I believe that's her name. When she said on the phone, when she's like, she had to change her habits. There are some things that we do. Even myself, just texting like certain my friends, my male friends, like 12, 1, like 2, like. That needs to be cut. Yeah. Like, it needs to be cut. A lot of, like, things that we do, like, the places that we go, and sometimes just always drinking alcohol when we go out to, you know, I'm saved, yes, but I do like to go out and dance, and I do like alcohol, yes. However, God's still working on it, yes. You know, those habits are the ones that are constantly getting us in trouble. Yeah. So until we get to a point where, like, Dad, I gotta cut this out, or I gotta, like, slowly, and, you know, if you can't go cold turkey, just cut back. Don't do as much as, you know, just wean it out.
Wean yourself off.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with sex. You gotta wean yourself off of that joint. Some people like, well, can you just stop? I mean, yeah, you can. Brown face looking like, listen, we ain't talking to the married. Well, we are talking to the married people. You need to wean yourself off of that boo, that side chick.
Okay, that's right.
Because it's some people. It's some people that
my little sister,
that has been married for 30 years and been having an affair for 15 years.
Mm-hmm. You can't wean.
That's what I was going to say. I don't believe it. That's what I'm saying. I got to disagree.
No.
You can't wean. You got a cold turkey, and some things need to be chopped off at the neck. Chop it off and kill it. You just need to cut that dead. That's one thing that, you know, smoking, you can wean yourself off of smoking. That's a little bit different. I don't believe if somebody has an addiction to smoking per se and they die, they're going to hell per se. But cheating on your spouse, fornication, certain things could be your immediate ticket to hell. It could be, depending on, you know, I'm not God, but he's very clear in his word about certain things that he wants us to do and how he wants us to live. And if we're still living in the midst of a sin that is beyond an addiction, this, you know, there's a sex addiction with people try to say, most people are not sex addicted. Most people just have bad habits and they're just used to the habits. But there's some things that you're just like, I can't keep feeding it. And even weaning yourself off, you're still feeding on it. I mean, what do? Do you go down to, well, I was texting him and sleeping with him outside of my husband, or sleeping with her outside of my wife. I was doing this about twice a week. Now I'm down to one time a week. And then next month we'll see if we get to once a month. But you're still doing it. No, you got to cut it off.
And that's
off the break.
yes.
Did you just say that's progress? Some of this thing that's progress.
I'm gonna tell you why. It is progress. And although I do not agree with adultery, fornication, but you do have, especially when you're used to something, even having those habits, it comes so naturally. And so I would say, hey, even the person who's out there that's struggling with that thing, if you didn't cut it down where you know you was going 5 days a week to his house, to her house, and now you only at 1 day a week, I want to say keep going so you can get to no days a week. so that, because I say, we do need to cut things off, but sometimes the body just doesn't operate like that.
They need to go to the gym. Work it out. Every time they want to go over that person's house, go work out.
Yeah.
Go do some push-ups. And do some cartwheels. Go mow the lawn. Go do something. Go figure something out.
Or call
read the Bible, or call an accountability partner. Get with some folks around you that are going to hold you to it.
There has to be at least one person.
Yeah, it's like drug rehab. I used to work in drug rehab and all that stuff, and in treatment and everything else. And that was one of the main things. AA. One of the first things you do, you get yourself a sponsor, because you're going to have the urge to do it again.
Right.
So get some sponsors. Get your accountability crew. You're like, oh man. She looking fine. She wore that dress. I'm trying to text her. No, don't do it. Call your boys and say, listen, I need to come and just chill with y'all, or what y'all doing? Y'all watching the game? I'm coming over to watch the game with you. Just let me hang out for a little bit till I get past this moment. So I get past it. I feel strong enough to go back home. And can you pray with me? Let's not underestimate prayer. Let's pray. Can you pray with me and ask me to? And I'll come and I'll sit with you, because I think that's more of a better way than I'm gonna just creep a little bit, because I don't know what a little bit of creeping is.
No, I'm definitely not saying, because I agree in terms of going that way, getting those friends for the married person, the single person, every person that's just in it and stuck in it. But what I am saying is that, some people process things differently. True. And everybody has a different journey. Because when I started my journey, my thing was, I got into the Word, I was praying, I threw out DVDs, songs that I was like, you know what, I just want to cut this thing off. And I started my journey before I actually stopped having sex. I had already made up in my mind that, I was in a year-long relationship. I knew I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship. And I was like, God, I want out. But how do I get out? How do I get out? And so each and every day as I'm praying, me and my boyfriend, we're still sleeping together, whatever. But as I'm praying, I'm like, God, I don't want to live this life anymore. And so each day I would say I made progress towards the fact that, I'm going to break up with this dude. And the thing that made me really break up with him was, we got into a fist fight. I was like, something
took him out.
Get out.
You almost took him out. I'm telling y'all.
Do you have the same life? Are we the same person?
Look, if y'all read my book, you'll know what happened in that fight. But and at that point, I was like, this is not the life I want to live. And I was like, I can get away. I say, number one, I ain't gonna be in a relationship where I gotta fight and so I'm going to leave. And that's where I was. But I started my journey. I started my decision to say that I don't want to have sex anymore, even before I had stopped along the way. And when I cut that relationship off, that's when I got into my Word. That's when I found those accountability partners. That's when I was like, God, it's me and you at this point, where I don't want to be in a relationship with anybody else if this is what I have to keep going through, have to keep giving my body up, because again, it was almost like being a slave to sex. That's what it was, being a slave to sex. And of course, you got the person, you call them many times, spend the night, whatever, And so yeah. Look like you want to say something.
They call you.
Exactly, they call you.
Exactly. So, the thing is, we have to value our relationship with God. Like I said before we even value our relationship with, our spouse or anything. And if you're in that situation where you're married and you're stepping out on your spouse, talk to your spouse. Communicate with your spouse, because there's a reason why you married that individual. There's a reason why you dated them, and then you got into that marriage covenant. So you have to respect that covenant. Don't step out and go to someone else first. Go to your spouse. Break it down to them. Let them know that you fell, but you want them to stand by you, even though you fell. So I think that's really important, that we've got to communicate with our spouse. Not that I'm married or anything.
So that's a good segue. How do we've been down the road of sleeping around. We've been down the road of, and even some people who may be listening, or, it's like, I want to stop it, but I'm still in it. how do we find forgiveness? Because it can be difficult for us to forgive ourselves. To really say that I have been forgiven from this. Because number one, you know, when you get pregnant, I was pregnant at 19. And I had literally just finished my first year in college. First child away at college. I'm number 6. So first child away at college. And I was like, man, I was in denial because I didn't go to the gynecologist until I was 3 months. And I was like, Doc, what's wrong with me? So she feeling my stomach like, yeah, you pregnant. I'm like, you ain't even do no test yet. How you just gonna touch my stomach and tell me I'm pregnant?
It's visible.
I haven't been in this. I know. It's facts.
And yo, sitting on that table, I just wanted to break down. Like, no, I'm a statistic. And so with people, you know, and not all people do this, but some people look at us like, oh, look, she pregnant. Oh, what she is doing, you know, and that kind of stuff. And so then we have to go into the stage of, we know we have to accept God's forgiveness. We have to forgive ourselves. And then we have to, you know, keep living. I always tell people, hey, you don't know my story. You don't know why I go hard for God and preaching on the topics that I preach about. And so for y'all, how did you accept that? I know we running short on time, so keep it short so we can all tell us. Go ahead, Jeanette.
I mean, it was a difficult process as well. I mean, especially when you have something that's visible. It's much easier for people, you know, for a guy, if you get caught with something, people will forget every day. But you walk into church and you have your child, and it's always right there. I have to say that my family is, you know, I've said this before, and people probably have heard me, but we're one of the ones that don't come for us unless we sent for you. So people weren't allowed to come up and say anything or just come to me. And my extended family was the same. But inside, I just had to do a lot of communion with God. And I looked around and I said, everybody has something. Everybody has something. But God says the moment we ask, it's done.
Yes.
And I had to keep saying that over and over and over and over again. And even sometimes with just some stuff, you know, the devil just tries to throw it back at you. And you're like,
The guilt.
The guilt. I said, but God said,
yes,
He has me, and it's already good. So I'm washed. I'm washed white. I'm good. I'm washed clean. I don't have any problems with it. But my personality is also very a tough, you know, resilient personality because of all the stories, you know, of the book to come someday. So that's just it. But it just took a lot of just repeating and staying in with God and communing with Him and just hearing Him.
Yeah. So what about you, Angela? What about forgiveness for you?
I just really had to remind myself of God's love. Like I had to immerse myself in the Word and just constantly be like, okay, who He is and believe it for myself because He told me. So now I'm just like, okay, I know God forgives me, but how do I forgive myself? Like, what does that look like? So eventually, after just really praying to God and talking to Him about it, He would always send somebody or show me in the smallest way how much He loves me. And I'm just like, yo, like, I'm good. Like, His grace is sufficient. Like, I'm all right. I'm okay. Life goes on. He forgave me. Okay, pick up your face. Walk. Let's go.
Right. Yes. For you, Stacey, how was it? How was it for you? Forgiveness.
It's really hard for me to forgive myself because I take it so personally, and I don't want to go to God. I don't want to admit anything to God that I've done something wrong. It was hard for me to even admit to my parents when I was pregnant because I got pregnant in college as well, coming out almost done. And here I am.
Pregnant
okay, right. So it's a good thing that the gown was big enough to
hide it off.
Mercy. Yeah, so it's like when I first approached my mom and my dad to let them know that I was pregnant, I was bawling. My eyes were like red and I was crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm pregnant. But my mom was so loving and so caring that she just embraced me and she was like, we'll get through this.
Yes.
We'll get through this. So that's what I've stood on all these years, you know, is my mom's support and God always being there no matter what. I didn't experience the extrication that many young girls feel when they go into the church and they're pregnant, because I think it's really wrong that they should experience that, because there are also the men or the boys that are involved and they need to grab them up. But I didn't experience that. But today I'm still unable to forgive myself fully for some of the things that I do wrong. You know, for some of the relationships that I get into, the negative relationships that I get into. But I'm still working on it. I'm still building my relationship with God, and I'm reading more. I'm going back to those stories, those simple stories in the Bible, and, you know, building my trust, building my faith in God even more, having good friends around me that I could just text, girlfriends, I mean, that I could just text and, you know, chat with and, you know, kind of bounce stuff off, you know, and they will give me good advice. So that's really helpful for me.
I just want to add real quick. Yeah, just real quick. I just also want to say, I think Janelle and you, Stacey, had said something along the lines that brought this to my attention. That what helped me was were my friends and my family. Well, my sister. The fact that I was able to be like, look, like I ain't no virgin. And she was like, it's okay. I was like, oh God, you love me. And the fact that I can talk to some of my friends and just be like, look,
openly,
I'm born again, you know, but that helped a lot.
And as we close, I just want to leave you all with this, because there are people out there that's still in it, who want to get out of it. And God says, come to him with everything. You know, we do struggle a lot with forgiving ourselves, but, you know, if we continue to wake up and say, you know what, God, I know that you forgave me. Let me continue to forgive myself. And the thing is, I want to leave y'all with these 3 points, because coming out of fornication isn't necessarily always easy. But if you are determined to live for God, you can definitely come out of it. That's the first point. You have to be determined to live for God. Because if we're not determined to live for God, then anything flows, anything goes, everything. The next point is do what you got to do to get out of it. Throw away books. Y'all used to love reading Eric Jerome Dickey. Eric Jerome Dickey was not okay.
And
Zane, yes, all of them. You got to throw away some books. You got to get rid of some songs off your exactly. You're going to have to just do stuff to get it done, to get that fornication thing out of your spirit. And last, you have to change your mind. You have to want this thing. You have to know that also that God's grace is sufficient for you to actually get out of this. Today's topic, I want to thank you so much to my ladies, my Girl Talk Squad, for joining me here on the Linda D. Lowe Show, Girl Talk. Thank everybody out there for watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching on Facebook. Today's topic was based off of my book, Dating Smart, 9 Tips to Transform Your Crazy Dating Life. Okay, and I think this is chapter 6 in the book, talking about canceling your benefits, canceling your policy, because this is what I say in the book. Friends with benefits soon become friends with deductibles. Okay, so make sure that if you want to really cancel those benefits, that you cancel those benefits. I also want to invite you all out to my Ladies Night Out rooftop party event on July 28th. I will be broadcasting live from there. Go to my website, www.lindadlowe.com, for more information. I will see you all next week. We're going to continue this discussion about canceling your benefits and talking about purity. See you all next week.